like it. It's a nice one. Then I bought a 56 truck to match it, so I've got a truck to do now. So I'll hopefully get after that one of these days. I've seen it for a while.
I know.
I've still got
You
that.
know,
The last 2 weeks.
I've been trying to mow my lawn for like the last 5 days.
Well, you use different
I
colors.
thought yesterday, I'm gonna go look at it and walk across my yard. Still gonna switch to-
Yeah, oh, okay.
Different colors.
Yeah, cause,
We can fix that.
he's still playing,
I
right?
got so many oak trees this time of year, no
Tim?
matter how much I leaves fall off the clumps with the branching.
Yeah.
Thanks, Craig. All right, we're gonna go ahead and call, Courts and Public Safety Committee to order. Roll call attendance, please.
Mr. Erickson?
Here.
Mr. Morse?
Here.
Mr. Hardy?
Here.
Mr. Walker?
Here.
Mr. Beggs?
Here. With that, we will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from September 14.
So moved, Walker.
I'll second, Bertie.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion, corrections? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Very good. Any changes to the agenda? If none,
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Perfect. We have a motion and support. What support?
I'll support Bertie.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the, agenda as printed, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Very good. Any public comment for Courts and Public Safety? Mr. Yost.
Good morning. I'm Dan Yost. I'm wearing multiple hats, but I'm Fire Chief of Grant Township, but also the training chairperson for Oceana County Firefighters Association. So I'm here just to kind of give an update of some of the ARPA funds that we were granted last year. I think it was, we put in for the grant. So I'll give you guys some history. I think it's been 5-6 years now. We came to the board about some property out behind the DNR station on 20. And the board at that point granted us a lease for 10 years for use of that property to build a fire training facility that would be not just for fire personnel, but also for law enforcement and other public entities that come and train on that facility. So it's been a long time coming. We put in for some smaller grants. We got some smaller grants and started to move the process forward with multiple businesses donating time and energy to this project. But when we got the ARPA grant funds, that really kind of pushed some things forward really fast. So I'm going to hand out some things just so you guys can see what it looks like currently. That's just a picture in its current state. It's going to be all painted red. There's still a lot of work to do in the interior and some other things we want to do. But if you look at where the grass is all around the cement pad, by the end of the month, that's going to have all crushed asphalt around it. That way we can drive our trucks on there and it'll look nice and landscaped, if you will. But it will have signage and stuff on this as well. Our hope is that by next year, this time, like, it will be fully functional to all the capacities we want to do with it. There's still a lot of work that has to be done, but this was a huge step just to have the cement poured and to be able to actually have these containers set there and at least usable. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We have all the lumber there. We have all the stuff to do all of the other work. It's just found time and manpower to do it. And for the most part, it's all been volunteer work. I think we've paid a few companies to come in and do some stuff, but a lot of that even has been donated, just materials that maybe we've had to pay for. But like Country Dairy has helped a lot. Van de Zandy Excavating, the list goes on of people that have donated time or resources or something for this project. So again, it's not just for fire. I know law enforcement, they're going to be welcome to use it because we're going to set it up so it looks like a house essentially inside there. So we'll have rooms and stairs, and they can shoot their simulations in there and not have an issue with breaking anything. So, and then we'll get to do stuff. And then we have currently a grant from 20 years ago. I think it was a FEMA grant. We had a burn trailer. Some of you guys may have seen it throughout the county. that's on the trailer, it's a semi-trailer, but it's really just a Connex box. That's gonna be removed, and that's gonna be our burn, spot, so we'll actually do live fires in there. These containers you're looking at will not have any live fires in those, they're just going to be simulation and, smoke, we'll put smoke in them to do search and rescue stuff. But that's kind of the update, unless you guys have questions or comments or thoughts.
I'd just say it's a great thing you guys are doing there to get a real training, complex there, and I commend everybody involved for it.
Yeah, that's, I think the next closest one, I think, is in Allendale, that's even close to this size. I know Manistee has one that I think is maybe 3 Connex boxes. But yeah, and for us in Oceana County to be able to have this, and we've already had comments from, departments in Muskegon and Newaygo that wanna come in and use it once we're done, so. Yeah, we're hopeful it'll be more of a regional type thing where other people can come in and actually utilize it.
Any other comments, questions?
Mr. Begg, Chief Yost, it's nice to get feedback on where the ARPA funds went. We don't always get that. Thank you for coming in.
So thank you. It was money well spent, so thank you guys.
Thank you. Any other public comment? All right, with that, Mr. Bayard, request to approve the grant modification agreement with, 270 Inc.
This is, just an extension of the grant that they had, that they're asking that it be extended through the end of the month.
And what,
This is for spay neuter.
oh, gotcha, yep. Okay. Through the end of this month?
Yes.
So, just a small extension.
Yep.
Any questions, comments? Very good. Under Sheriff Schiller, request for engine replacement in the 2018 Chevy Tahoe. And, for the record, I will not, participate in this discussion as my company is, bidding on the project. So, I have a conflict of interest. The floor is yours. And even, Greg, I think you were gonna kind of.
Right, I'll go through that.
Thank you, good morning. We had an unexpected maintenance issue arise, and with the price tag that it involved, I spoke with, Ms. Byard and, felt it was probably best to come in front of the board, just due to the expense, involved. A vehicle that, only has 145,000-ish miles, has an engine problem, and it needs to be replaced, unfortunately. And it's just, there's still life left in the vehicle. We kind of explored several different, options as to directions we could go, but due to the specific, insert that is in that vehicle for the canine, for the canine unit, it presents some hurdles, or some difficulty, I guess. So the most fiscally wise decision I think that we can make is to replace that with a used engine, but there's a price tag that goes along with it. I've got 2 quotes that I included in your packet, and they're both really close. And if you look line for line between the 2 of them, there's a $300 contingency in the one that's offered from Mears Service Center that may or may not be used. So Mears Service Center has, they have done all the diagnostic work on this vehicle, and it's currently at their shop now. So happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Mr. Walker?
I was the only, seated member at the board at the time we went to Enterprise. And the reason we went to Enterprise was to turn over the vehicles so these things didn't happen. We were not to be running vehicles over 100,000 miles anymore. They were supposed to be turned over quicker, so there was a value when they were sold. And how did we get here to where 145,000 miles on one? Why wasn't there a vehicle ordered for this earlier?
Yeah, so this is our vehicle though.
I know, but they were supposed to be replaced and Enterprise was gonna sell those vehicles.
Yeah.
It was
So-
supposed to be a quick turnover on all of these.
Yep, for the vehicles that were purchased under their program or provided through their program. So, we still have a handful, there's not very many, a handful of vehicles that were ours at the time we integrated into the enterprise program. And then, once all of those vehicles are replaced by enterprise vehicles, that's when we start to see the higher turnover, higher resale value is to the enterprise vehicles. And
No,
that
no,
didn't apply to the,
No,
that didn't apply to the.
no,
the
it was
vehicles we own.
specific in there, was specifically discussed that even the vehicles we own are gonna be.
That wasn't the case.
Are
There was
gonna be
a,
turned.
there was a 10-year model that was presented to the board then, that it shows the schedule of when all those vehicles are to be retired. And that vehicle was on that schedule when we transitioned to that.
Enterprise stood right there and said, we will sell the vehicles that you have.
Correct.
And we will sell them, the sooner you sell them, the more you're gonna get from them.
Correct.
And that's what they discussed with us.
And they will continue to do that. They're selling the vehicles that we're getting rid of now.
I see in the letter that, and I understand with the strikes and everything, vehicles are hard to get now, but why can't you have a 641, a 2021 Tahoe in service? Why can't you change that over and order another vehicle to replace that one?
So, great question. We considered that was actually probably the best option that we thought we could do. But the inserts, unfortunately, every time they change a model design, the inserts and the equipment specific for it won't fit. And I'd asked twice if that stuff could be switched out, and they said no.
Run it for a while without the inserts, until you can get the equipment for it.
So the inserts are about 6 to 8 months lead time. So we can order an insert for this model vehicle. We've already ordered our vehicles for next year already.
I personally, on a personal vehicle of mine, if I had 145,000 miles on it, I would not put $7,500 into an engine for it.
Yeah.
And we have to run this like a business. We are a huge business.
Yep.
The bottom line is, and we have to run it like a business.
Yeah.
And to be putting money into something that the value is not there, I don't get it. I don't get it. You must have something right now that you're using for your K-9 vehicle. Is it the spare vehicle, 645?
He's using he's using a Tahoe with a plastic dog crate in the back seat.
Yeah.
So it's an absolutely unideal situation for the dog.
Under Sheriff, understand too, I looked this morning just to kind of see, and I know this is different pricing for whether the selling of the vehicles itself, but I found several online that were in that same age and pretty darn close to the mileage that were running anywhere from 29,000 to 36,000.
Yeah.
For the resale value. Without the repairs to that vehicle, do you have any idea what that it would be worth or not?
Yeah, that I don't. I'd have to rely on Mr. Bates there. I don't know what a vehicle with a.
Not a whole lot. All 5-7 grand with a bad engine in it.
With a bad engine, yeah. I've been looking at motors too, and, you know, the club starts about $7 grand, you know, to put a motor in it. There's a lot of motors out there, a ton of them. But yeah, it's so specific of a use that without an engine in it, it's parts.
Sure. So
I guess my question is the return on investment, if you invest $7,000 to fix it, in the end, you come out ahead of the game at that point? Well, time is of the essence. You know, if a motor can be put in 8-10 days versus waiting 6 months for inserts for a new vehicle, we're down.
Yeah, so if I remember right, Enterprise, they go through 2025, last vehicles, I think. At least next year. When
Yeah.
was this one scheduled to get?
So this is, I believe this vehicle is scheduled to be sold next year, in next year's, in 24.
Okay, so we'd be fixing it, spending $1,700 or so, for about a year's worth of, or maybe not even that. long.
Right. Hopefully, yeah, I mean, like Mr.
But
Hardy
then,
just,
and then the
yeah,
resale value may go up, too. Yeah, we might get it back.
yeah. That's the conundrum, is,
Yeah.
is what's the solution in the, the immediate few months, and then, are we gonna see that value of that when we're able to get rid of it?
Well, it sounds like it, and I guess Mr. Erickson could probably enlighten me on that a little bit, that obviously right now, if you don't fix it, it's parts.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you do fix it, my guess is you're probably gonna get more than the parts out of it at that point. Well, we get another 6-8 months of use out of it, and then, but you'll still have to outfit all of the cage and everything to the new model, so that'll all be, unusable unless it goes in the sale and
Paul, you
Enterprise.
brought up there's a lot of engines out there.
Premier's got 20 of them, as low as 50,000 miles.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be a remanufactured engine.
Not necessarily. I mean, I bought a lot of motors from Premier and Weller. They stand behind them. You'll get your 1212 in labor if, to stand behind it. You'd stand behind a used one, and Tim would have to rebuild for his labor on top of any further repairs to a guaranteed engine. But
The quotes presented
I
from both
saw
places
two,
are,
yeah.
are used engines.
yep, I saw that.
Reman,
That was quite a bit more.
$13,000 for a GM.
Yeah, but it's a good wrench motor then.
Mr. Schiller, I'll kind of offer the cue to this. Have you heard anything from the recent auto strike on what impact that might have on vehicles?
We haven't heard anything from Enterprise. I do question, how long we're gonna wait on the vehicles we have already ordered for 24 because of that, but it's so hard to say. Generally speaking, they give us updates, about once a quarter, but I haven't heard anything.
The Oakland County contract dealer out of Grand Rapids has probably 40 Tahoes sitting on their lot right now. They're all white,
Yeah,
but they have 40 of them sitting on there right now. John Fuller said that they have lots of them in stock right now.
No, I was looking over the bids too, and basically with, your service centers, $300 contingency fund with both costs are within $42. And I know that Mears has done the pre-investigative work.
And I don't see we have a choice in this, honestly, with the nature of this vehicle. If it was any other usage, we probably could come up with a plan B, but because it's a K9, and it's gonna be a while, I hate to say it, but I don't see what other option we have other than fixing it.
Well, I think the opportunity here is you probably get this repair money back with additional funding once you go ahead and sell it. I guess that's the key.
That's the whole.
Right now, it's in parts basket.
right. You never like to be backed into a corner when you've got a maintenance decision to make that. It's just,
Mr. Erickson, any other comments?
No, there are a lot of Tahoes out there, but with the upfit of all the equipment, radios, cage, and it's easier to pull a motor and put a motor in than to go down that additional trail. And it might have some resale, but when Enterprise takes it back, we'll never realize that investment we're making. When we move to the new one, Enterprise will pick it up and sell it for us, right?
Correct.
So that's what comes off.
Yeah, so they take whatever the sale of those vehicles, it then comes in and offsets our
Offsets
leasing
it.
costs.
So
We'll pool it.
we'll get it back eventually.
Yeah. It does help us significantly.
Offset cost.
Well, and aside from the miles, there's a lot of idle time on that motor, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably got 300,000 miles of engine wear on it, just because of the idle time.
Questions or comments for the other? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, moving on, department head report, anything?
Morning.
Morning,
Just wanted to
John.
update you guys, thank you for your efforts on the hazard mitigation, talked with Stefan, and we are seeing some more responses, so you're reaching out to your constituents has, worked out well, so we're seeing some good feedback on that. So that was all I just wanted to update with, any questions on hazard mitigation or anything else?
Did you hear from the second?
Not yet.
Is that 15th of October, is that cast in stone?
No,
Is there a
that
little
was,
bit of wiggle room?
I think so.
Because I know of two different of the, governmental units that I deal with, they're not having meetings until like the 17th, or they're not having meetings later, so.
I would encourage him to reach out to Stefan, at least to let them know that, so we can get him, so he can document that he's got ongoing conversations with them. Cause it really is something he can take care of on the phone. He doesn't necessarily have to be there, but he has to document for the grant purposes and for the feds that he's had these conversations with his check marks. Rockberry did reply immediately, so thank you for that, and they're all ready to go. We're seeing good responses.
Well, may I, Tim?
Yeah.
Troy, we had a discussion. What if you had a natural disaster during the electric force? It's all in the village or out there, and if they don't have that paperwork filled out with FEMA, you know, that could be a very ugly dance. And that's the attitude that I had with it, and I'm glad that you said that they did reach out at least.
Well, right away, so thank you.
I was gonna ask that city hard to hold it.
Not yet.
Cause, I notified Rob and he emailed me back, didn't know anything about it, he was gonna get a hold in contact with you. City manager, so,
I'll call Rob.
yeah, that'd be great, surprised
And
you.
then, when you're off, a message to Stefan when you back to the office, so he responded in the last week.
And I did contact Elbridge Township too, same thing, looking for back from them.
Some of them gone direct with Stefan, not direct with me, because he's really the one who has to carry out the
Okay.
conversation. I'm just kind of the middle person on it, but he's the one that's gotta ask all the questions and has all the stuff that takes care of that. They're the ones under the grant that would take responsible for that. So I'm just trying to help them out.
Would you mind, sending us an email like you did last time and just say which ones have responded? Would you do that?
Yep.
Troy,
Yes, sir.
Troy, thank you for the follow-up email too. You know, I think everybody saw it. I asked who had already applied, and Troy sent out an email to us on, you know, who had already put in their paperwork. There sure weren't very many.
No, and with the first one, I think it was deceiving to all of you when it only showed 8 these people ready to reply. Well, what about else? Well, no, that really was all that had replied. So, but thank you, it did work out, and then Stefan said thank you too. Have a great day.
Thank you. Mr. McKean? Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Gary.
Morning. Couple of things going on in parks. ARPA money, we're spending some ARPA money right now. We have, the Gales Pond East Walkway is under construction as we speak. It's gotten to be a bigger project than they thought. There's 5 guys out there working. They're taking the old walkway out, putting in the new boards, the new, supports and so on. Of course, it's going through a wetland area, so they're all in hip boots and waders, and they're covered with mud from head to toe. I've got donuts for them this afternoon. Hopefully we can mend some fences with the carpenters, but that's all right. We're getting there. I think we have about 120 feet done out of about 350, so hopefully, the rain will hold off Friday, which I'd like to see it morning, quite frankly. But, on the other hand, I think probably next week is more realistic of getting that finished in. We've already submitted one bill to the county administrator from, the contractor, and it's to be paid for material and initial, setup and so on. We, are also in the middle of the 5-year plan comments. Thanks to many people in the community, the Conservation District, the Echo newspaper, Stefan was able to put in the QR code. We've actually had 121 responses to parks. So people do care about parks. I'd just like to share a couple with you. The list is pretty long and I won't go through it terrible much, but this is what would you like to see in parks more often? More walking trails are needed. We walk at the Auto Nature Preserve, something on that order, which is not a county park, obviously. More investment in park amenities. We should always be working through the list how we can improve and expand our county parks. Most are too small and not worth the drive, says someone. I need to have more information about parks, brochures, websites, etc. I'm concerned about Gales Pond, basically, I can't say it. I know what it is, filling in, let's put it that way. And the monoculture caused by the cattails and the reality of the pond is basically being sliced in two by deposition. Cedar Point has no playground equipment. And the list is, I'll go not much further, it goes all the way, there's actually 45 different things that they didn't like. So let's talk about the good stuff. And the good stuff is longer, it's actually about 73. Parks are well maintained. Lake Michigan, they're unusually clean, a place for our kids to play and run. Less congested than the state parks, less people than the local state parks. Proximity to my home in Shelby. Scenic beauty, easy access, beautiful. The list is pretty long, so there's gonna be, when you're asking a question about how do you like our parks, you're gonna get some positive responses, hopefully. When you look at the negativity side or what would you like to see different, you're gonna find that the other way. One thing that was interesting, of the 121 responses, one of the questions had to do with the potential for a parks millage. 66% of those that responded said they would be in favor of a millage for parks. Now keep in mind that the people that typically fill out the survey are people that support parks still. Would that be across generation or across a county? Don't know. But that's a possibility going forward. Couple other things, this is on the website, the county website, and it will stay open for a period of time. The 5-year plan will be resolved, probably we'll have that in hand in January. It'll come to your board, probably late January, early February, and then can be basically put into place as a document for the 5-year plan. So it's going along well. A lot of good things out of it. We're really starting to realize the value of our parks more and more. I made some notes on one of these pages and I flipped over. Well, nonetheless, we'll bring it. Unfortunately, the Crystal Valley Spark grant that was applied for by Crystal Valley Township was not accepted by the DNR. There were 450 grant applications for roughly $20 million. 31 applications were fulfilled through the DNR. Unfortunately, none of them were in Oceana County. The closest one that I could find on their website or the email I got was basically $37,000 that went to Wimserdick and Muskegon for a study. We searched through the documentation and we saw nothing in the wordage about studies. This is all supposed to be capital improvements done that you wouldn't basically be able to do using a Spark grant. So we're not sure how the scoring went, but we are always interested to find out. So the next time we have the opportunity to apply, we'll have better ammunition to go forward with things like that. The rec plan, I should say the recreation groups throughout the county have met several times over the last several years. That would include Hart, Walkerville, Shelby, and Pentwater. And Hart, Pentwater, and Walkerville would like to come together in some form or fashion. Shelby has indicated that they're not interested at this time. But if you go back a few years, Hart was a much stronger organization. I think a lot of, from what I've learned, it has to do with kids are growing up and moving on, parents are going with, their kids are leaving the programs. But Hart has a strong recreation plan, strong recreation group. Oceana County Parks and Recreation is a title of our commission, as you all know. And one of the things that we don't have, and the last 5 years that I've been sitting in Bob Walker's seat as chairman of the parks, is we've wrestled with what recreation do we offer to the county, the people of the county. We work with the Conservation District, they provide programming for education about nature. So we're really at a loss to really have a budget that allows for a recreation part of our parks program. The best way that we found as a board, and this is all of us together, 10 of us, we found is to partner with other organizations. And that's actually part of our credo, if you will, partnering with other areas of the county to make things go forward and grow for our citizens. So we had asked, I should say, for a $10,000 stipend for the budget for 2024. I understand that it's been denied. The hope was to at least put something in the pot that would maybe gel the groups together. And I've been working with the Hart group, I've been working with the Pentwater group as well. Walkerville is interested, I've not really met with the Walkerville people. But somehow, some form or fashion, we have to find a way to bring these rec clubs together. Because there are kids that are being excluded. Like, for example, in Pentwater last winter, there was not enough girls, 6th grade girls to play basketball. So the 6th grade girls didn't play basketball. Hart had an overabundance of kids who could play in that position. But because they don't talk to one another and they're separated for whatever reason, this is problematic in my opinion. So we're gonna reinvestigate this and continue to push forward with this. The opportunity might come about that we might take just the money out of our budget and we'll have less things to do that we'd be able to do in parks itself. So we'll have to decide what we're gonna do there. The other thing I wanted to ask about and talk about, we asked for a seasonal employee in parks. Now, a seasonal employee is not someone who's just gonna mow grass and things. We have a great relationship with the County Road Commission. They just billed us for about $2,300 for mowing for 4 of our county parks. Crystal Valley and Mill Pond are actually sent out to private individuals who do a pretty good job with mowing and upkeep in both of those parks. But the opportunity to have a part-time seasonal employee to take some of the load off of the board members and get some of the things organized within the county, working with the rec clubs, working with opportunities that come forward. It's not something that's really easy to do all the time. I probably get literally 5 to 7 phone calls a week from people having a problem at the beach or down at Cedar Point. The dogs are on the beach. Well, the dogs are allowed to be on the beach as long as they have a leash on. Or one of the questions that comes up regularly, when are you gonna buy those people out north of Cedar Point and get that whole park? Okay, we'd like to think we could do that. Anyway, so these are things that having a seasonal employee would start to help and develop parks on a more larger basis. And the opportunity to have someone, the right person is key, that could really fill this position is really instrumental going forward. So, those are some of the key points I wanted to talk about. A lot of good things. We have 4 people coming up on parks that will be, their term will be coming up at the end of December. I've talked to several of them already. They would like to, quote unquote, reapply. But that has to be decided as time goes on, obviously, by you. So, we have a great board. I can't say enough about the 10 people on the board, or 9 of them. I'm the 10. I can't say much about myself. But, long and short of it, we have need, and I know the county board budget is it's a tough job to wrestle. I know. I've been there. So not on the county board side, but on the private sector. It's hard to balance a lot of things. So with that, I appreciate your time and your consideration, and I appreciate the honor to come before you. Thanks, Gary. And don't break them.
Any other department head? Or Sheriff Schiller?
Just wanted to give everyone an update on staffing levels sheriff's office and jail, just to keep you up to date. So by end of day today, we will be down 3 full-time positions. We've had Detective Rich Palmer is his last day today, so he'll be retiring, and Tim Priest just retired a week ago, so we're down 3 full-time, and we're told that we might be losing another young man in January, so that would put us to 4. We do have two gentlemen that are certainly for sure going to the academy in January, and one of which is one of our corrections deputies. So there are 2 other people that are interested in the academy, and we're kind of working through what that means and what that might look like. So just to kind of let you know where we're at, I probably will be sending you a proposal for the next board meeting, kind of outlining what sponsoring a candidate to the police academy looks like, specifically when it comes down to one of our own employees. So with the corrections deputy, what that might look like from a financial perspective, and utilizing 2 different funding mechanisms, one being Michigan Works, and another being a grant through the state police that was budgeted through the state budget. So there are some funding vehicles out there for us to use, but there's all the details are ahead. So
What's our status in corrections?
currently in corrections, we're at full staff until January. So I will probably try to post for that job because we know that there will be a vacancy for sure. We'll probably try to post for that and get out ahead of it if we can, try and have that gap ready to fill if we can.
What's for the corrections, is there an academy for that as well, or?
So the corrections track looks a little different. While it's you can go to an academy prior to working in a facility. In Michigan, the jails are required to send corrections deputies to an academy after 1 year of employment. So West Shore offers them about at least once a year, sometimes twice a year, and that's I think we have 2 going next week. Sorry.
Currently have 1 week.
Currently 1 is, yeah. So there's 1 running right now.
Is that the same length as the?
So no, their academy is much shorter. Yeah, it's 4 weeks, and they cover all the minimums that the on-the-job training doesn't cover. So.
And the police academy is 5 months?
Yep, so it runs from about January to May.
Tim?
Can I say something?
Sure.
I want to thank you guys for getting the corrections up to staff, because I used to have a whole bunch of hair right back there. And once we got up to staff, just taking the pressure off of me and all the guys back there, and I see it every day. So thank you guys for making that a big deal, because it really is to these people, to their livelihoods, their families, so on and so forth.
Under Sheriff Schiller, we have seen more and more this board from the general service part of the county, you know, from the department heads, when they know there's going to be a vacancy, or they know that somebody's going to be leaving, or somebody's not gonna be running for office. I don't know any of that right now, but they have been coming to the board and asking us to fill a position in their department a month early or a time frame early. When you bring a plan to us, I'm speaking for myself, don't be afraid. If you have somebody who's going to be moving into the road from the corrections on January 1st, don't be afraid to ask permission to the person who's replacing, start December 1st, or start a time curve. I don't know how the other board members feel about that, but it's a trend that we're seeing in all the departments right now, because unfortunately, you're not the only department suffering with, not being able to find people, so.
Duly noted, and thank you, because, that's really why I wanted to kind of get ahead of this.
Don't be afraid to get the boots on the ground so they can work with a seasoned person for a while.
Yeah.
I know you got lots of them, but don't be afraid to have a little bit ahead of time.
And also, we're down to one detective, right? So we're gonna have to move some people out of road patrol up to detective, and we'll have even more slots.
Yeah. So, as it stands right now, what our priority right now is staffing road patrol. And as we're able to replace bodies, we'll start posting those vacant in-house positions and fill them as we can. But yes, we're gonna be down a detective and, well, actually down 2 detectives because Tim Priest was working as a detective, so. Yeah, it's, I know other agencies are suffering this similar issues, but right now we have to worry about answering the calls for service and take care of the people on the road right now.
How many outstanding warrants do we have now?
I don't know. There is such a trend right now in the courts with set-asides and a lot of different things that I don't know what the number is currently.
With, Priest retiring, do you have to assign somebody then to the same team?
So, yes, we will eventually. Again, that position will have to be posted within to fulfill the union guidelines, and because it is a raise, it's a different position, and we'll probably wait to fill that when we can, when we're not so short in the road. That's the plan as it stands right now.
So just to clarify, we have 2 detective positions open and 3 road patrol positions open?
Nope, so we just look at them as full-time positions.
All right.
That's, yes.
So we're basically short 1 road guy right now in a way, and 2 detectives.
Correct.
Okay. And then, when they're in the academy, are they getting, so that 5 months, are they getting paid from us?
So, in past practice, the answer would have been no. They've been a traditional college student. And when they're done, and they come to us and they apply. And so if we, as a county or an agency, sponsor someone, there's funding available to pay for the education at the academy, and the balance of it can go to their wages. Some of what you'll see is that the leftover to cover the wages probably isn't sufficient to pay them what someone would need to take 5 months off of work. So trying to make that whole and what that might look like is kind of something I think we'll have to wrestle with a little bit.
I think it's a good idea looking at that. I think, yeah.
So Michigan Works has been helpful. I've been talking to them, and they, prior to this year, the Michigan State Police grant was not able to commingle with Michigan Works, and now, as I'm told, that they can now commingle. So that's a really good thing. And I think, we're in a much more positive situation than we were a year ago, so that's good.
And with those grants, the
Yeah.
Michigan Works and Michigan State Police one, they have to stay in that position for a certain amount of time to get the grant, to apply, to qualify for the grant, or commit to 2 years.
Yeah, so, great question. It's, so a lot of agencies are, employing a contract for people that are sponsored to a police academy. So if we sponsor, a person and we send them and we're paying them a wage, whatever that wage is, to go, and then they finish, they come to our place of work. A lot of places are asking applicants or new hires to sign a 3-year contract. It's a thing.
Thanks, Mr. Walker.
Billy, we've talked about it a little bit before, but I was one of the, in the first actual class, that your certification or licensing came with a degree from Ferris, and that first group that graduated in 1974 from Ferris. And the trend was that all along, that they went along with a degree, or the training academies, if you had a degree, they ran a special school, like an 8-week school or a 14-week school after you had your degree. The best example that I can give you to answer your question is the Department of State Police. When they hire people and put them through their own academy, they're considered employees, and they come under the Fair Labor Standards Act. If Under Sheriff Schiller's department sponsors somebody to go to the academy, they're gonna be considered an employee because they sponsor them, and they come under Fair Labor Standards Act. Back when I first started in law enforcement, what the Department of State Police did was they paid their recruits minimum wage to keep the price down. Think that there's some problems with that now, but it's correct. They are considered an employee if you sponsor them. Is that?
That's correct.
Pretty
So-
much, and you have to.
Yeah. They make us.
I've known of people to be sponsored by a department who left with less than 3 years in, and they owed that money back as a contract. And it's an enforceable contract that they owe that money back to the department. But that's the advantage of hiring somebody local.
Yeah.
We've talked about that at this board before too, right?
I've seen evidence, law enforcement, this track is no different than any other, that market to recruit is getting really, there's a lot of competition.
Yeah.
I had a nephew that went out to Phoenix, Arizona to go through their academy, paid well, to be there, education was paid for, and no contract. There was no obligation for him to stay there to work for Phoenix. And so you look at paradigms like that, it's a very competitive market.
Yeah.
And, we've gotta be creative, to continue to staff our department, so.
City of Ludington right now is offering a $10,000 signing bonus, if you come and work for them. Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Office, same thing. It's competitive. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Any others for department heads? With that, public comment. Hearing none, we'll adjourn.
All right, let's call to order the Finance and Administration Committee. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Erickson?
Here.
Mr. Morse?
Here.
Mr. Beggs?
Here.
Mr. Walker?
Here.
Mr. Hardy?
Here. I'd ask for approval of the meeting minutes from September 28th.
Make that motion.
Support Walker.
By Morris, support by Walker, for approval of the meeting. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same. there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll ask for approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
Second, Morse?
Motion and a second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carried. Is there any public comment right now for Finance and Administration Committee? Hearing none, we'll move on. Mr. Briard, consideration to adopt revision to the annexation resolution 23-09.
So, Brady Sellner reached out to me about the annex resolution, and there was, something in there that, Amy had to send that on to the state, but they needed to make a change to it, and he had reached out to the county attorney. The county attorney or not county attorney, but city attorney had made the change. They sent back the resolution, and now they're asking for the board to adopt the revision. However, Bob had asked for Brady to reach out to them, asking whether or not we had to post this again, because there were, I believe, 3 postings that had to be done prior to adoption of that resolution, and Brady said that was not the case. We didn't have to do the public hearing again, but we wanted something in writing from their attorney stating such, and Brady's out this week, and he wasn't able to get that before he left, so, I don't know if the board wants to move forward with this now, or you wanna wait till the next board meeting when we have that in hand.
Yes, Mr. Water.
When I saw this, I remember the glitch that we had of only 2 postings going in, and then we had to post a second time, you know, to delay it, to post it 3 times media general circulation ahead of time. So as soon as I saw this, I reached out to the administrator and I said, this actually is approving the annexation. I said, does there have to be a public post? And we had a very nice conversation about it. I said, I would feel a lot more comfortable if we had just email from Schreier O'Toole from John Schreier's office from O'Toole. From John Schreier's office saying that no, there does not have to be a public post on it. From my own standpoint, I'm not real anxious to amend this unless I know legally whether it has to be posted or not. I'm not comfortable with that. There's been 2 glitches in it already, and I don't want to walk into a 3rd one. And I guess I asked this question: if we wait until we get something from the attorneys, we can do it in 2 weeks, or else they have to post. I would be more comfortable doing this in 2 weeks, this amendment to this in 2 weeks, and not doing it right now, just not take any action on it, because I don't want an error on it.
Mr. Morris.
First thing that came to my mind was exactly that same thing when I read this, ahead of time. The number 2 thing came to mind, and I didn't put the time, I admit, I didn't put the time into seeing what the revisions are, or is.
Well, the clerk actually found where the issue was, and she can tell us what she found on it.
So in the body of the document, it said that upon written confirmation that the water and sewer lines have been laid, that's when I'm supposed to send to the state and to the village clerk. I didn't have that, so I called Brady and I asked him, and he said, well, they haven't been laid yet. And I said, then I'm not sending it.
Oh. So this excludes that clause of it?
Apparently.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it would be wise to wait until we have affirmative.
The burden is on the village of Shelby, and I don't want to be difficult, but their attorney should be telling us, we should not pay for attorney fees. Their attorney should be telling us that no, it does not have to be posted because it's just an amendment.
Correct.
And if he says if it does have to be posted, then we have to go through the right steps. You know, and I'm looking at the big picture on this whole thing. If you don't go through the right steps on the annexation, in 10 years down the line, somebody wants to get title insurance for one of those houses and that, it's gonna come back right onto this board that you went ahead and did that, and you didn't follow the proper steps. For the sake of 2 weeks, I'm asking my fellow board members, let's wait for the
No, I
sake
think
of
it's
2
a
weeks.
smart thing to do.
Just
Yeah,
take,
no, that's your
just
question.
take no action.
Yeah, that was, yes, no action. All right, I'm sorry, Administrator Biard, consideration of a motion to set the public hearing for the proposed fiscal year 2024 budget and property tax millage rate to be levied.
So, as we do every year, we need to do a public hearing for the, county budget. We have it set for the next, board meeting if we finalize, a couple of things that we had left on that list. If we can get those finalized, then we can adopt the budget at the next meeting, and this is the public hearing that I need to post to do that.
We do this every year, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Mr. Vanderbreeze, consideration of adoption of a resolution 2311 approving, the 2023 portion of the report, millage as presented by the coalition.
Good morning, Ed.
Yeah, October is the annual apportionment month for the Board of Commissioners. Needs to authorize the millage rates to be levied, which allows all of the taxing units to collect their taxes. My responsibility is to provide you with a report to confirm that the millage rates that are being requested by the local units have been reduced as required by the Headley Amendment. I think I mentioned this the last time I was here. We only had two villages with millage reductions this year, and that was because of the 7.9% inflation rate. So everybody was able to pretty much collect the same as last year as the county for your millage rates. So the report is just the tabulation of all the millage rates being levied in Oceana County by township, cities, the villages. You'll find on the last page we have the millage tax rates by jurisdiction. Ooh, actually, I need to change the heading. It says 22. Got one revision for that page. But that is the millage rate for the non-homestead and the homestead millage rates by jurisdiction and school district. And also what the total millage rate would be for those jurisdictions that are villages. So they pay the township millage rate in addition to any village millage rate. So you'll see the villages, a couple of villages are the highest millage rates for both homestead and the non-homestead because of that extra millage rate. So I don't believe we will have any revisions. We do not have any ballot questions that affect the 22 or 23 taxes. I'm only waiting on one confirmation document from Colfax Township. But the millage rate in this report is what they published for their hearing. Their hearing is coming up on Tuesday, or next Tuesday, the 17th. And I've been working with their clerk and treasurer. They have a couple of new people there, so they got a little bit behind the schedule. Normally they take care of these as we do by September 30th. But I've spoken to the supervisor and clerk. They assured me their hearing set, and I'll have all the documents I need for certifying the apportionment report. Anybody has any questions? And as far as your budget hearing, I know a couple of years ago, we added language to your resolution, which has allowed you not to have to hold a separate treatment taxation hearing. So be happy to look over the resolution again when you have it. I'll be doing it. I'm actually going to be somewhere in the Mediterranean when you're on your next meeting. So, but I'll still have emails. If you send that to me, I'll be happy to look it over, just make sure that it's published correctly.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Sorry you had to wait so long.
Oh, that's okay.
Ms. Biard, administrative review of selected claims for payments.
The list has been provided for you. Does anybody have any questions on those? Okay. Alright, so, I provided a report for you in the packet, but I also had some other, items that I wanted to bring up. The, West Central Michigan County Alliance meeting is being held on October 30th. I've, received responses from 3 of you. If you're planning on attending, you need to let me know by tomorrow, so I can get that information onto, Nuevo County, so they can start ordering the food. So, there was a discussion during budget with regards to the bonds and, whether those have been paid off, because we were scheduled to have those paid off in 2023. And,
The health department.
yeah, there was, no, that's a separate issue. This has to do with, 911, medical care facility bond, airport, it was kind of wrapped up into one, and then it would, we spread out the payments. That last payment has been made, and I was not able to find out, who to call to find out if we were done with it. According to the amortization schedule, we had paid the last payment. I had no contact information, nothing. So, it took me the better part of, Wednesday to, finally get a hold of somebody. And she said they don't normally send something to let us know it's been paid off in full, but, the last payment will be made on November 1st, and we should be done with that one. So, there will be no more payments with regards to those bonds. Yesterday, I worked also on the, RFP for the county auditors. Staff is reviewing that RFP just to check for, spelling errors and those types of things, and then I will be getting that posted so that we can get those bids in, for next year's audit. And then last, there were a couple items on the, list for budget that we need to finalize. Wage increases for employees, and if the board is planning on doing anything for elected officials, we need to make a decision on that as well, so that's all I have.
What do you propose for that budget discussion? Another workshop?
We can do a budget, we can do that, or we can talk about that today. I don't know if you are prepared to do that today, or.
I would prefer another workshop. I know.
Yeah, I think that might be best, because then we'll know kind of where the rest of it falls in. And did you say District 10 building, that we didn't find anything yet on that?
We have not. I'm still waiting for Kevin Hughes to get back with me on whether or not that.
I will be up there tomorrow. I don't think Kevin has an answer to that yet. But one thing that we're gonna have to make sure is, the thing that surprises me on these bond issues, like the terminal at the airport and the, health department building out there, normally when you pay those off, you notify your insurance companies. And the insurance companies need to realize those are paid off. So it changes a lot of things. We all know with a house, you pay off a house, you notify them so the insurance company doesn't get copies of that. And I'm surprised that the bond, cause the bond is nothing but a loan. It's different terms on a loan. And I'm surprised there's nothing, because there should someplace, I'm sure it's on the deed.
It has to be a release.
Yeah, there's gotta be a release. I'm sure there's.
They would be an insured party.
So, but as far as the health department, I will ask tomorrow when I'm up there. We have a personnel committee meeting up there tomorrow, and I will ask Kevin.
Kevin felt it was done.
Because if it's paid off, and we are not insuring it because it's owned by the health department, we need to get it on our insurance.
In those bonds, We're paid for with millages?
Yes.
And then I asked Kevin, as far as uses for that building, and it's our building. We can use it as we please, and it is massive. There is so much floor space that is unused in that building. With a brand new generator.
Well, totally in agreement with the Paul, but we need to focus that the health department is there, but the excess areas that they're not using, we need to look at it if there's a use for it. We can't push the health.
Exist for the health department.
We can't push the health department aside, but we need to make sure that if there's valuable space, that it's being used up there.
So do we want to,
Yeah, I would prefer to set a date for
okay,
budget.
do we wanna discuss that now or just, or wait till the board meeting? Okay,
Put it in now.
so just a reminder,
What's the notification on it?
we have to have it in the paper, it has to be posted 18 hours before, but, we have to get the public hearing in the paper. There's a deadline there, but also, any changes that you make have to be, we have to have the time to be able to update the budget, plus I have to update all the resolutions and the figures in there in order to get that to you at the next board meeting.
I think, I'm with Mr. Beggs. I think we need to sit down and discuss this, and I think there's in 2 or 3 hours, at the very, very most, we should be able to get through the rest of these things.
Are any of you open Monday or Tuesday next week? Or even Friday? Tomorrow?
Friday, I can't
tomorrow.
If
You can't do tomorrow, okay, the 16th or 17th?
If it's on Tuesday, I have a 5:30 meeting in Lake County with community mental health, so it has to be a morning meeting.
Okay.
16th.
I would prefer the 17th if possible in the morning.
7 o'clock.
What, not that early. I guess I could actually.
Paul, you can't do it?
No, I have to be the program at the Lutheran Church
On the 17th.
on the 17th at 7:30 in the morning for breakfast.
Or
19th.
18th or 19th?
I have a 911.
19th then?
18th.
Anybody on the 19th?
I'm good on the 19th.
Let me check one other calendar on the 19th. Yep.
Okay. 9 AM?
10:19, 9 AM.
What, the 19th at what time?
9?
Is that a Wednesday?
Is that a Wednesday?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Are you gonna be here after lunch?
Hope we're not here that long.
That'll be our incentive not to.
Right.
Okay, then I'm not ordering.
Depends on what you're ordering.
That's true.
Depends on what you're ordering.
All right.
Hey, Tim, would you just make sure it doesn't go over 2.5 hours?
I'll.
You're the biggest guy here, you're the most.
I'll bring lunch, but.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you. Department head reports. We heard most of them. All right. Any public comment at this time for Finance and Administration Committee? Yes.
James Kelly, MSU Extension.
Morning, James.
Morning.
Apologies for the lost voice. First, I'd like to apologize for not being present at the budget workshop on September 26th. By knowing there was going to be significant conversation regarding 4-H and extension, I would have found a way to be present. I was planning on attending today's meeting simply to share our third quarter reports, filled with 9 pages of outstanding activity, having watched the recording of that meeting, I've decided to electronically share that document. Instead, spend a few minutes addressing some of the information that was shared during the budget workshop meeting. I'll start by sharing that I did not have to run this by MSU Council, nor do we have to do that for any other local decision-making purpose. The reference to needing to consult MSU corporate legal for everyday operations decisions is false and quite honestly inflammatory. We certainly do not need to consult with an attorney in regards to a meeting agenda as was reported to you in that meeting. It's hard to know where to start. With the recording of that meeting in hand, I plan to address every claim that was raised. That will take some time as there was simply so much misinformation. I will share that we reached out to John Shutt, Executive Director of Michigan Association of Fairs and Exhibitions, and asked him to respond to the claim, stating that fairs all over the state are discontinuing this relationship with 4-H. John responded that that is, and I quote, definitely not the current movement as there are many different levels of engagement, end quote. I appreciate the reflection of Commissioner Beggs, who mentioned in that meeting the need to trust but verify. I'm nervous that as a commission, your trust has been stretched by the information shared in that meeting, and I look forward to having the opportunity to verify. What I will briefly share today is that I stand by our office, I stand by my interactions with the Fair Board. I've investigated complaints and taken action when necessary. We have a process for personnel issues that has been followed, and I welcome input on the performance of our staff. I want to recognize that there has been a long and peaceful partnership with the Fair Association and 4-H until about 3 years ago. I can pinpoint the specific situation that I believe appears to have soured the relationship and the subsequent actions that have since strained the relationship of 4-H and the Fair. Primarily, that strain developed through the interactions of our 4-H program coordinator and the Fair Board president. Outside of that relationship, both organizations have more broadly continued to focus on the need to serve the youth of Oceana County. In fact, in that quarterly report I previously referenced, you will read that there are now more youth registered in 4-H than prior to COVID, that adult volunteer numbers jumped 57% in 1 year, and that the number of clubs continues to grow. And yes, you will see mention of the fair auction as we celebrate the investment of Oceana businesses and residents in the youth of Oceana County. The auction reporting represents about 1% of my 4-H reporting in any given year. I sincerely look to scheduling some individual meetings with each of you to share more details on how we got to this point and the efforts I have made to improve the situation. My management style is to address concerns with those directly involved. I've spent time trying to facilitate conversations that would lead to understanding and a plan to move forward in Oceana County. In fact, during that budget workshop, you heard a recollection of my visit to the Fair Board office during the week. I chose to seek a conversation with the Fair Board president as I've heard of some tension that needed to be addressed. I did not choose to ignore those discussions. I did not avoid it. I embraced it. I listened attentively to the comments of the Fair Board president and others in the office and offered a process to address those concerns as we move forward. I did not experience the interaction as a dressing down, as you were told, nor did I walk around the rest of the day with my tail between my legs, as was shared with you previously. I share my recollection of that incident to verify my desire to find solutions. I've invited the Fair Board president to do the same and to meet with our staff, but that has been denied multiple times over the past few years. In fact, about 3 weeks ago, there was a 4-H post-fair meeting with barn superintendents and some Fair Board representation. I was hoping the Fair Board president might engage in that review to discuss any concerns, but that was not to be. At that meeting, again, I vocalized our desire. That's the desire of the local extension office to meet with all the Fair Board. We've not heard a response yet. I'm aware that there is an annual Ag Society meeting on November 8th, and that 4-H will be on the agenda. Not being invited to take part in that conversation, but I would be happy to attend with or without my staff. Having said that, I've been told I just don't get it, and that I never will, because I'm not from Oceana County. I'd hate to think that's the case, as I'm sure that Oceana County wants to attract new residents with diverse experiences who can add to the richness of this county. I've also received threats that extension funding would be impacted if things were not handled. It's disappointing to see that playing out. The muddy waters referenced in the meeting are important to recognize. The Fayetteville President's relationship with the 4-H program coordinator is not the indicator of 4-H success or its impact on the county, nor should it influence the county's relationship with MSU Extension. In the meantime, MSU Extension will continue to focus on serving the people of Oceana County, improving lives through educational processes that apply knowledge to critical issues, needs, and opportunities. And yes, sometimes that comes in the form of a t-shirt tie-dyeing event for youth, or a cat club meeting, where youth and closely vetted adults interact in a positive, controlled environment to forge strong relationships, develop life skills, and to explore hobbies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Any other public comment at this time? Now we will adjourn the Finance and Administration Committee and we'll break until the regular board meeting.